Boilermakers fans, welcome back to the channel. Thought I would come to you today and do a little season offensive preview for the 22 season. I think I've actually tried to make this video multiple times now and just have not been happy with it. It's been a little too long. Try to do a little less rambling and get more to the point. But basically what I want to do is kind of go over the, again, the depth chart for the offense. Maybe give them an old NCAA football rating like the good old days. Man, I think I had that game starting out in 03 with Joey Harrington on the cover and ended up with obviously 14. So super excited that game's coming back in 23. But I thought it'd be kind of fun to maybe stamp on these guys when we talk about them in overall grade. So, or how they would be rated in NCAA football. So with that, let's get into it. The quarterback position, the most important position in football. Purdue's pretty good. It's pretty set there, man. Aiden O'Connell comes back. If you're going to rate this guy, probably he'd be rated 90 to 92, man. I mean, he's a top 10 quarterback in all the land in college football, if you ask me. He's got the tools. He's a very accurate thrower for the most part. Makes good decisions. Gets the ball out very quick. He's obviously not the most mobile guy in the world. But he's gotten better and better with his pocket awareness, getting rid of the ball. I mean, he took some really bad sacks early on in his playing career. When I say playing career, Aiden's been around a while now. It's like a 6th year. But he's only played in like 23 games, I want to say it is. It's no more than two full seasons of football. So the fact that he's not even played 2 full seasons of football, I mean, that's positive. He's going to get better every game. Yeah, he's still going to make some boneheaded throws every once in a while, some bad interceptions. But you know what? Drew Brees used to do that all the time. So, I'm not worried about it. He's got command of the offense, has some weapons to throw to, and has the it factor. So, super excited about that. Backups, I'll just basically be very brief on. For the quarterbacks and everybody else, I think that's the part that's taking too long. Backup, Michael Burton. Good Wildcat quarterback, but if somebody went down, I think Michael Lamo would probably be the guy that would come in and be the replacement of Aiden if the unthinkable would happen. And then Brady Allen is waiting in the wings. Moving on to running back. This position has arguably been, that and offensive line have kind of been the two most picked at position groups the last couple of years. Early on in Brom's career, Purdue career, I felt like we had a pretty good 1-2 punch in DJ Knox and Markel Jones. DJ Knox was the ultimate Purdue running back. Nice power and speed combination. Really, though, since he graduated, it hasn't been the same. It's hard to say if that's an offensive line problem or a talent in the running back room problem. But you lose Xander Horvath, that's a big loss, although he didn't play most of the year last year. You bring back King Daru, who I'd probably rate, 78, something like that. He's a guy that does a lot of things well, but nothing great. One of those kind of players. Good guy to have. In a Big Ten conference running back room for starting running backs, you take 14 guys, you say 14 starters, and you kind of rank them. King's probably, honestly, lower part of the Big Ten, if you would do it that way. Average to a little bit above average starting running back in the Big Ten. Then you would have, before the news of a couple weeks ago now, the backup would have been Samson James, who still is probably the backup and vying for the starting role, transfer from Indiana. Another guy's probably 76, 77, could be higher. Didn't really show a whole lot at IU, but he did show something when he played Purdue. It's kind of been on and off the practice field a little bit, so intrigued to see what he does. However, this whole unit has completely changed now with Kobe Lewis coming aboard from Central Michigan, guy that got hurt in fall of 2021. Didn't play all 2021. Been rehabbing. You watch the highlight film of this guy, Kobe Lewis. He looks like a stud. I mean, he put up great numbers in Central Michigan, including over 1,000 yards in 19. He's got, honestly, if you look at his film, he's got everything that we don't have in that room right now. He's got speed. He's got elusiveness. He's got great hands out of the backfield and great vision. So, and some get up. So, as long as that knee is fully healthy, which it appears so it is, they checked him out. Purdue doctors cleared him. He should be possibly the starter He might not start week 1, but he's going to get a ton of reps, and he'll probably, in my opinion, take over that lead role. Then you have Dylan Downing, who's kind of a fullback, running back. Probably would have been more of a running back, but now with Lewis on board, he's probably going to go back more to the fullback role and be situational kind of running back. So, moving on to wide receivers. You obviously lose David Bell, you lose Jackson Anthrop, and now you lost Milton Wright to academics. And it now sounds like it's officially been clear that he's not going to play this year and is done at Purdue. So, that's 3 big losses. And, the guy that was supposed to replace David Bell, he's not here, Good news is, you look at the bowl game, David Bell didn't play, neither did Milton Wright, and you still bowled out. So the number 1 guy in that bowl game was Brock Thompson, and that was on 2 bad knees. So he's going to be back, probably the number 1 guy. It's funny, so the top 6 players in wide receiver, in my opinion, for Purdue are either 1, coming off an injury, and a pretty serious one at that, or somewhat serious one, or 2 are an Iowa transfer. So that's your top 6 guys right there. Obviously, Brock Thompson, probably number 1 wide receiver. Probably a guy that's probably rated 80, 81. And then you got the 2 guys from Iowa, Charlie Jones and Tyrone Tracy, probably high 70 guys. Tracy showed some flashes at Iowa early on. He fell off quite a bit. There was talk at using him in the running back role, kind of like Jackson Anthrop did towards the last half of the year last year. Now, though, with Kobe Lewis back, it's probably going to be less than what was initially thought of. But he's going to probably take over for Jackson Anthrop. Excited to see him. He's got some shiftiness to him. He's got some speed. Charlie Jones, though, man, I'm really high on this guy, Charlie Jones, and not just because he's a stud special teamer, which he is. You watch the film on him, you watch the hands, you watch the route running. He looks like he's got the intangibles to be a number 1 receiver, quite honestly. Iowa, not the place to go, or even look at it and look at his numbers and say, oh, he didn't do, jack in Iowa. Well, he did do 3 touchdowns, 300-plus yards, and that putrid offense, that's not too bad, that putrid offense. But with his route running, our need for a number 1 receiver or a go-to guy, I could see Charlie Jones honestly being the go-to guy on 3rd down. He's already got a relationship with Aiden O'Connell. I could see Aiden, going to Charlie quite a bit. We'll see. I could be wrong, but I could see 700 yards, 7 tutties. And I would not be shocked at all. So anyway, then your other 3 guys are coming off injury. TJ Sheffield had a really good year last year, had a bad ankle injury in the bowl game. Apparently, though, he's good to go. Probably, again, another guy that's probably high 70s. A lot of the Purdue wide receivers are in that high 70 range. A lot of them, ton of talent in this room. It's just, a lot of it's unproven or it can't stay healthy. And the next 2 guys I'll talk about can't stay healthy. Marshawn Rice and Abdul-Yahim Racine, or I probably just butchered that name, but Yassine Ari. 2 guys that are similar build. I think they're both like 6'2", 200 pounds, or 220, something like that. I mean, you look at Marshawn Rice on the field last year, who was supposed to have a breakout season last year, and actually he did stand out when he played in a few games. He just looks the part, man. He really does. I really hope that he can stay healthy. I think he could have a big year. Yassine also has shown some flashes. We need those guys to be healthy on the outside. We need playmakers, and those 2 are playmakers. So that's your top 6, and honestly, you got another 6 guys that I could kind of go into detail about, but they probably make this video too long, but I'll just say their names. Deion Burks, probably a guy that you could expect to crack the rotation. Elijah Cannon, transfer from Auburn. We'll see. He's got the biggest size on the team at 6'4". He's a guy that maybe comes out and shows something in camp and becomes a deep ball threat. I don't know. But then you got some other guys like Colin Sullivan, redshirt freshman, played a little bit in the bowl game. Didn't do a whole lot, though. Preston Terrell, same with him. Those guys got some talent, but we'll see what they bring to the table. And then you got some young freshmen that have some talent, but we'll see if they get on the field. So that's the wide receiver group. Again, talented room for sure, kind of unproven, and not necessarily a go-to guy as of yet, but one needs to develop, and it's going to be a kind of a committee approach, in my opinion. But here's your go-to targets, your tight ends. You got 2 absolute studs in Payne Durham and Garrett Miller. Probably, honestly, one of the best tight end tandems in the country, not just the Big Ten. Probably the best tandem in the Big Ten. Garrett Miller is an athletic freak. Well, so is Payne Durham, former lacrosse player. Garrett Miller probably rated, honestly, in the mid-80s, maybe even higher, and Payne's a 91, 92 kind of guy like Aiden. They're going to have big years. Payne, you're probably going to be the leading touchdown guys. Payne is, if he can stay healthy. He'll probably be your leading touchdown getter on the team. Probably, possibly even 10 or more. You know, he's going to be a go-to guy for Aiden, especially with no David Bell. So, and then you got Paul Paferi, the former quarterback, who's honestly is what you want in a third tight end. Hard worker, an athletic guy, perfect combination for your third tight end. Then you got some young guys coming in there that will be counted on once Payne and Garrett leave. Offensive line, obviously, this has always been a question mark for Purdue the last couple of years. Not last couple of years, forever years. Brom has done a good job of always getting a guy. I think he's got a guy every single year to come in and start on that offensive line from a transfer. He's always been a grad transfer. This year, he did bring in a transfer, actually a couple transfers. I don't know if they're going to start or not. You got Fanoe from, I think, IFU. Came in the spring as a guard, supposed to take over from Tyler Witt. He was hurt, so we don't really know what we got in him. Brought in a guy, Daniel Johnson, I believe his name was, from Kent State. Apparently a very athletic tackle. We'll see if he's a starter, but if not, he'll be a depth piece. Here, though, you lose Greg Long and Tyler Witt. Greg Long, though, did not play in the bowl game. He was your best offensive lineman. So you saw what this unit could do in the bowl game. 4 of those starters are back. I think they played a total of like 6 or 7 guys, too, in that game. They're all back except Tyler Witt. So that's exciting there. Hartwig is back at center. I think it's now his 3rd year, so he should be improving and adding strength. I mean, that's a guy that's probably low 80s. Spencer Holstach now, I think, started now for a while. He's probably a guy that's, again, low 80s. Cam Craig at tackle. You know, he's a guy that has had some health concerns, but he's probably your best offensive lineman when he's healthy. What else we got here? Eric Miller at tackles improved every year. Another guy that started young, but he's now a junior or senior. Again, high 70s, low 80s guy. And then the 2 young guys that played last year, I think it's true freshmen, Musa and Babo. I probably said his name wrong, 63 and 64, are kind of a tackle and a guard. You know, those guys can start too. So you maybe got, I don't know, 8, 9 guys, which is good. Purdue really hasn't had 8 or 9 guys. Seems like we've been at 6 or 7 the last couple of years. So as long as these guys can stay healthy, should see some improvement there as well. So overall, you know, this unit as a whole is probably going to be top 3 offense in the Big Ten, if not the best. I mean, Ohio State probably be number 1, but Purdue could easily be number 2, or possibly even be number 1 if that running game improves, which I think it will, and the passing game can maintain what it's been the last couple of years. I mean, you think about what Jeff, and I don't have stats in front of me, but I believe, you know, Jeff Brom in 2017, you know, his best wide receivers were former guys that were pretty far down in the depth chart and didn't really do anything until that year. I'm talking about Anthony Mahungo, really broke out towards the end of the year that season, and then Gregory Phillips, I want to say his name was, did absolutely nothing most of his entire career, and then just bowled out his last year. You know, and I will say, you know, you lose DeMarcus Shepard, who's been there since Brom for day 1, was an outstanding wide receiver coach. He's gone, so we'll see what Gary McGee, I want to say his name is, see what he does with the unit. But anyway, yeah, that's your offense for Purdue. Bonus, we'll do the kicker. You got Mitchell Finneran coming back. Probably, you know, they always rated the kickers high in NCAA football, so it's probably a guy that's like 88, extremely accurate. Had a little rut there after starting out like 9 for 9, but he got it together pretty quick and had a couple game winners. So Purdue is looking pretty good, man. I'm like I said, I'm super excited about this team this season. I expect us to go to Indy, or at least have a good shot at going to Indy. I think anything below, if this team can stay healthy, anything below 8 wins would be a disappointment in my eyes, especially with the schedule. So anyway, that is a wrap on this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you like what you see, like, subscribe, and I will make more content on these long drives home out in the Midwest. So we'll see you.